Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. Well, I'm actually on my way to work, but I wanted to record this really quickly. Last week was E3, and a friend of mine, Kio DieKin, was out at E3, and we had a small conversation about it. Now, this video is really going to be just audio only, about some of the things you saw out at E3. So, please sit back and enjoy. All right, everyone, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. We just had E3 happen this week, and I happened to get Kio DieKin here, who was actually at E3 on the line. Kio DieKin, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I guess first tell me, I guess you aren't too far from the E3 anyway, so I'm glad you were able to go. So why don't you tell me the first things you tried to, I guess, hit and your impressions of it?
I'm a native of SoCal, so the first things that I tried to hit was Arcade 1-Up because I had promised a lot of my subscribers that, we would get the first look there the first day, which was Tuesday at 11 a.m. And so we were the first ones there on the site, and we were live streaming, so everybody can get their first look at the new cabinets.
And what did you see when you got there?
The first thing I saw was Marvel versus Marvel Superheroes. And then I saw, what else did I see there? Well, first I saw Marvel Superheroes, and I was kind of looking around for Ninja Turtles, and I saw that off in the distance. And then I saw some of the previous cabs I've already seen, like Street Fighter and the Karate Champ cabinet, so I saw that one. But got a little bit of the gameplay in for Marvel versus, not Marvel cabinet, but Marvel Superheroes. So we saw that, walked around a little bit, and we saw Ninja Turtles. And then that's when I really started digging into the review, showing everybody what was new and what was different.
Now, the Ninja Turtles is going to be Arcade 1-Up's first 4-player cabinet. So, did you actually get your hands on that machine and play it a little bit?
Oh yeah, I played all of them. I played all the cabinets. I played Ninja Turtles. The one thing that we do know now that'll be different is obviously it's 4 players, but the Marvel Superheroes cabinet and Ninja Turtles will both have dual speakers at the top, right above the screen. And of course, the monitor is angled back a little further. I'm not sure of the degree elements. So I don't believe it's stereo, but my understanding is both mono speakers, and it is fairly loud. And they are replacing the volume switch. It's not going to be a 3-position switch. It will be a slider, so you can adjust the volume by sliding it.
That's excellent. And you know what I noticed when you mentioned that about the Turtles cabinet having the screen angle change a little bit back further. The initial Arcade 1-Ups were they were meant to be like a home toy. I mean, they won the 2019 Toy of the Year award. So they were really designed for, parents bringing it to their kids and playing it together. I think now they've seen that us older kids really enjoy these things, and I think they're starting to cater to us because that screen tilting is really, in my opinion anyway, for adults to get a better screen angle, whether they're on the riser standing up or they're sitting on on a small stool looking at it. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the screen being angled back was to supplement for the sound. There were a lot of complaints and concerns that the speaker was on the panel where the buttons are. And so I believe they went this time around for perfect speaker placement. So they definitely did a good job doing that. So I believe the whole screen being angled back was to make room for those speakers. And by doing that, it really supplemented everything with the community because that's what they wanted. But I think the new top seller, in my opinion, is going to be the Marvel Superheroes cabinet, simply because it's going to be the new Street Fighter. What I mean by that is a lot of people were buying the Street Fighter cabinet to modify it because it already had 6 buttons, and it was the unit that made the more sense. And so with this, now you're getting 2 speakers, so people out there don't have to try to figure out where they want their sound to be. So as soon as we look at the PCB and see exactly how they have everything wired around, I believe that'll probably be the cabinet of choice for modding in the next series.
Now, you also saw, obviously, the Karate Champ, which was announced way back when. Have they given any indication on a street date on that? Did you get your hands on that one?
Yeah, In fact, I even played the Karate Champ one back at CES when I was playing David McIntosh in a little one-on-one. So they haven't really said too much about that one or the Wallcades. I know a lot of people had questions about that, but no, not too much talk about those.
And the biggest question from Arcade One's booth, other than the humongous machine they built there, where people had to be on a riser to play it, was obviously the Atari Star Wars arcade, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. They had the big reveal of that. Did anyone get any play time on that, or was that really just for show?
Yeah, that was all show. So what you saw was just the demo unit itself. You saw the arcade cabinet. It was not loaded with any games at all. What you saw was a video playing. So even if you were to hit the start button to try to put a coin in it or something like that, it was just a video and purely demonstration purposes. So they did say that they are still working on it, but that was just for presentation purposes.
Did you see anything else in Arcade One's booth that we would want to know about? Any changes? I know they've obviously changed their marketing company, and someone else is doing it there with them now. Did you notice any difference there in the booth?
No, they were all friendly. I saw a familiar face. We saw Mike, my friend who was with me, Spyro Mode. So we saw Mike there. He's a familiar face from CES. And so he walked us around again and gave us the rundown of everything. The one thing I think that did catch me by surprise that nobody talked about, I don't think it was mentioned, was that cocktail cabinet for Pac-Man, which has about 8 games on it. So that's the one thing that caught me by surprise when I was there.
And that actually, I was going to mention that as well. So did you get some, I know you played that one a little bit. How did you feel about the size? I think someone said it was like 80% the size of a cocktail cabinet normally.
I know it came up to my kneecaps. Yeah, so it's about, I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, I know it came off to my kneecaps. Of course, I would suggest a riser, but it's the same size as the Street Fighter cocktail cabinet. And it's interesting because while they were sitting there, they were having business meetings and talking back and forth, and they had all their paperwork and computers and stuff on top of it. So my friend who was there at the time, he was really interested in that. He said he wants a couple for his office. So,
well, I personally have always wanted, I would replace all my tables in my house with cocktail cabinets if I could. Was it a plexiglass top or a glass top or nothing on the top at all?
I think that was a glass top because I believe if it was plexiglass, it would scratch real easy. So I believe it was somewhat of a glass top. I'm not really sure though.
Excellent. And the controls on that, did you notice any improvement on the controls? It seemed like they were more of the Phase 2 type controls or more, the Generation 1 type controls were a little bit looser?
They were Phase 2, and I know I really played a lot with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as far as the joystick. So when I pulled it back, it snagged back in place. The buttons were kind of about the same, but the joysticks I was really impressed with. Everything's been upgraded for Series 2. So the Star Wars cabinet, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Marvel Superheroes, they all have dual speakers. So I know you really couldn't see that too well unless somebody watched my video, but all of those have dual speakers at the top.
Excellent. Did anyone mention yet, I know obviously the Golden Tee and the Star Wars cabinet looks like it has the light-up marquee. Did they mention anything about, offering that as an option on the store? They've been putting some items on their store. Is it something they're thinking about, or is it still going to be pretty much our homebrew guys supplying those?
Yeah, pretty much, the brick and mortar stores, they really didn't talk too much about that. So, but, a lot of that still depends upon retailers. So, a lot of that's still left up in the air. I mean, they could say no now, but then a retailer says, yeah, we'll take some. Or, a lot of it just depends on how many people are going to be resellers for the product.
Okay, so my last thing for, I guess, the Arcade One Up booth is, what was your biggest wow factor and the thing you want the most now? What is your big take on it?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the wow factor, the only difference with some of the cabinets was that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the menu, when you're selecting between TMNT or Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, there's music. You can hear the theme music playing in the background.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so Mike showed us that, and I think that was the one thing that really kind of caught my eye, because that's not even on the Marvel Superheroes cabinet, so there's no music there.
So they did change their menus on I think of both those games, correct? Is it a different style, but the Turtles had music.
Yeah, different style, but the Turtles had music. So I thought that was a nice addition. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they will add it for Marvel Superheroes. Nothing has been released yet, so maybe that's something they could, possibly work on.
And there was still no hint anywhere of NBA Jam. That was still MIA, correct?
Yeah, there was definitely no hint of that. Yeah, that's another licensing base, just like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 would be.
So after the Arcade 1-Up booth, what else did you hit up there? What else really caught your eye out there?
The one thing that I think really caught my eye was the 4-player light guns. There's a new company coming out. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but there's a camera that hooks up to Xbox or PlayStation, and I believe a PC and a couple of other systems. They will be probably releasing at the end of the year, but I've never seen, from a console standpoint, 4-player light gun capability, and it was really accurate. So I do have video footage of that. I will be doing a review on that in the next coming days, but I was really impressed with that. And the light guns were all wireless. And
when they were, you think they were camera based, like they were actually looking at the screen, versus like a typical light gun or an infrared type of gun?
It was infrared-based technology. So what happens is you have your screen, your TV screen, and the camera faces the screen itself, so it has to align. And so the camera has 4 points, and when you sync it with the 4 points, it activates the wireless gun. So the wireless guns that they had, they were wireless, but all infrared-based technology. And I'd have to look at my video again, but I have all the details there. But it was really new and just, something that was different, for me.
Did you happen to swing by, like, the My Arcade booth? I know they have a new little Space Invaders that look pretty interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I did. I don't think I spent too much time there, though. I think I just kind of walked by a little bit. I mean, when you're going to E3, there's so much to see. And, with all the companies, and you only have, 3 days. The first day you only get in at 11 o'clock, and then, which is Tuesday, and then Wednesday you can start at 9, and then Friday everybody's kind of there. So you try to hit and miss, get in the lines and stuff, and beat the rest of the traffic that's coming in. So, it's just part of the going experience. But the light gun technology is what kind of caught my eye, and as well as there was a few other things too.
I also saw you ran into a Cool Toy out there. They had a couple games going on.
Oh yeah, it was definitely nice meeting him. I know he had mentioned he was flying out for E3, so I definitely wanted to kind of reach out to him a little bit and introduce myself, and then just kind of escort him around, because if I was flying into out of town and never been there before, I would want somebody to extend an offer or something as well.
Now I know the big thing as of late as well, for good or bad, was ATGames, but I don't think ATGames was actually on the floor there. I think they were kind of behind the scenes doing private showings. Was there any ATGames presence on the floor that you saw?
None on the floor. I did happen to run into David McIntosh for a few minutes, and we just, spoke briefly. Nothing about nothing about ATGames. I did watch the interview that Cool Toy and Retro Ralph did. So I think a lot of it still needs to wait, because we don't have hardware specs about ATGames. But, based upon the information that I gathered, I really don't think that they are a direct competitor to Arcade 1-Up. So I think they're more of a competitor to Game Room Solutions or Rec Room.
Right, and I agree with that. I mean, I've seen a lot of people on the forums saying, either the ATGames is just not good, not to even look at it, or the other side where it's a Arcade 1-Up killer. And I really don't see these guys as being direct competitors. The Arcade 1-Up overall, I think, is fairly inexpensive. They design cabinets for, a certain style look, like a Star Wars or a Galaga or an Asteroids. And it's designed to be very easy to assemble and throw a bunch of them in the house, different style cabinets. Where the ATGames is, the price point is actually, when it comes to like Golden Tee, not that much more, but it hasn't been actually released yet. But that's more of, like you said, like a game room solution. It's more of an all-in-one encompassing. It's arcade games, it's console games, it's streaming games. It's a slightly different thing, but it's a totally, I think, different end user demographic that would go for one versus the other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now I think that they would be more competitive with Arcade 1UP if their price was a little bit lower, because I believe their starting point is, what is it, $5.99?
Well, they have I think a smaller unit. They have two sides. They have one, I think, going for like $3.99 with their smaller one, and then I think it's $4.99 or something like that, or $5.99 for their full size cabinet.
Okay.
But I agree. But when you get something like a Golden Tee, those are going for like around $400 as well. So they're starting to blend in a little bit. But I do think that when people say one's going to kill the other, I really think there's definitely room for both.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, their aesthetics and everything is a little different. I mean, with the materials that they use for their countertops, for their, where they have their joysticks and their controllers, the chrome that they have around it, it's definitely two different markets. So I don't see one really canceling out the other. It's just going to be a preference of choice for consumers out there.
So aside from that, what else do you have a good time doing? You're there for 3 days. Something else had to catch your eye.
Oh yeah, everything Xbox. I mean, I'm a huge Xbox guy. I play Xbox there. I played a little bit of the esports stuff, but I played a little bit of Gears of War 5. I posted a video about that last night, and being able to get the Ultimate Pass. And one of the things I found out, I'm going to do a video review on this, is if you max out your Xbox Live membership to either 1 year, 2 years, or whatever, and you buy a 3-month Xbox Live Ultimate Pass, it'll give you the ultimate experience for the entire duration of your gold membership. So that's something, I think it might be a glitch, but I'm not sure if they intended for that to happen. But yeah, it was nice to know that. So right now I have ultimate access, which gives me access to over 100 Xbox Live games for like a year and a half. And they rotate games, so it's not always the same game.
That's pretty cool. Sony must have had a presence there as well. Did you see anything at the Sony booth?
No, they didn't have a Sony booth this year. And, that's another thing about E3 is that I think attendance has really, really dropped, because when I first started attending back in 2010, all you had were industry people, and it was still crowded. And you had, and I believe you had Activision, you had Disney, that's when you had EA, you had Sony, you had, obviously Nintendo was there, they had a booth. But this year, I went a few years ago, and that was the first year Activision didn't go, or Disney, or some of the other companies, and that was back in 2016. But this year was the first time I attended where they had the gamer passes, and so even with the introduction of gamer passes and people with industry credentials, it was still a little empty in terms of the booths, the companies that were there. So that was a little disappointing. Sony wasn't there this year. Obviously, Disney or Activision or some of the other companies, and EA they had their own event a day or two before the official launch of E3. So the attendance has definitely been going down, and a lot of the big name providers have just been kind of backing off a little bit. So
now, when you went out there, obviously you saw Cool Toy and David McIntosh. Did you run into anyone else there, kind of famous, or someone you just ran into?
I ran into Metal Jesus. He was there. In fact, he was there on my live stream while I was that Tuesday morning when I was doing the walk around with the booth. Metal Jesus Rocks was there. I believe I ran into a girl named Persia. She's a Twitch streamer. I ran into her at the esports booth, and a matter of fact, I knew some of the guys from the HyperX esports because I did a video walk around with one of the guys there in Las Vegas. So they were the ones from Las Vegas, and they're not associated with the other guys from Santa Ana, California. So it was nice seeing them again.
That's very cool. That is the one good thing about these type of events. You're just walking around and you run into someone like Metal Jesus or something like that. That's kind of cool.
Right. Oh, definitely. Yeah, and it was really fun hanging out with Cool Toy. I think maybe we'll eventually tell the story, but that first... Yeah,
there was a talk of a good bromance going on between you two.
Yeah, Yeah, that's actually funny how that happened because 9 a.m. Well, we had a little Mission Impossible thing going on there, and so after a few minutes or so, I was able to help get him in because he was on the Gamer Pass, and so he would have had to wait till 12 o'clock. And I had an extra badge, but he called me. He was like, "Yeah, Kio, they're checking IDs and stuff." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "We'll have to, we'll work out something." And so, after about a good 20 or 30 minutes, I'll probably tell this story a little bit later. Maybe he will. But he was able to, get access inside.
That's excellent. And I also want to remind everyone that you do have your own YouTube channel.
Yeah, I do. It's Kio DieKin, and I specialize with RC cars, video games. I do firework reviews, also movie reviews, and some other tech reviews as well. So I like to be a little well-versed in different subjects. So that's pretty much who I am, and what I'll have fun doing.
Well, Kio DieKin, I'm very happy you came on the show to tell us a little bit about E3.
Yeah, I wanted to do that because I know there's a lot of people out there who like posting videos, and they never go to any trade shows or events. And me personally, I like to do things or talk about stuff I have a personal experience with, and not speculate, but give people a firsthand look or information about what actually happened, and not kind of hypothesize about, well, this might have happened, or But it's always good to have that experience.
Well, Kio, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. We'll have you on again, I'm sure, soon. And I want everyone to join and his channel. Please subscribe to it. He's got some good stuff, some good content on there.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Kio, thank you very much. It was great having you on the show.
All right, you too. Thank you.
So that's it. That was Kio DieKin's take on E3. If you did like the video, please like, share, subscribe. Also, do subscribe to Kio DieKin. He's got a good channel over there. And I do many things here. I do things from Arcade 1-Up, ATGames, Super Impulse Tiny Arcades, My Arcade, Numbskull, and classic gaming systems, and more. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, or click the little notification bell to be notified when I have new videos uploaded. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and remember, game on.